Hi, this is Tracy Schmidt with the Schmidt team at Supreme Lending, and I am here with an amazing real estate agent that is ready to provide a wealth of knowledge to his client base. And it's Mr.
Kevin Scott with eXp Realty in the South Bay beach cities of Los Angeles. And we are excited to jump into this topic of, believe it or not, building wealth through real estate. Yes, it is still possible, even with the interest rates rising. So let's get into that, Tracy.
Absolutely. And that's really the goal of this is how can people still purchase a home, invest in a home, and build wealth with all of the craziness that's going on in the market that we're
Yeah,
experiencing every single day. So let's get right to
exactly.
it here.
Perfect.
Okay, perfect. So let's see. I wanted to go through, this is kind of what we're going to discuss here. So I wanted people to understand really what inflation is, right? We're
Yep.
hearing this word all over the place.
Yep.
What drives mortgage rates,
Yeah, exactly.
the housing bubble fear, which, I'm sure you're getting a lot of questions on as a real estate agent.
Absolutely.
Should you rent or buy? Yes, you should still buy, and we're going
Yep.
to go over that. Investment properties. So 1 out of every 6 or 7 purchases is actually an investment property purchase, which are good numbers. And I'll show you
That's still good to see. Yeah, that's good.
Yep, I'll show you how you could build wealth through that as well. And then really our goal is to have you just work with us to set up a no cost, no obligation
Yeah.
wealth analysis. So, and
Yes.
Kevin, I know you look at yourself as like more of an advisor, right? Versus just a real estate agent.
Yeah, well, my background is real estate investing. I started way back in 2005, and I've done just about everything except a syndication. But and I experienced the whole crash and everything. But yeah, it is so important to understand, not just go, oh, I can't afford anything, but it really understand your numbers and how they play and stuff. Because I think a lot of people would actually be surprised if
Yeah.
they put pen to paper and with some expert advice from Tracy and her team. I'm always here as a sounding board as well. Um, but yeah, it's really amazing what you can do when you get creative and you actually understand with the deck of cards you're playing with.
Yeah, every situation is different. And the question of what is inflation? So it's really too many dollars chasing too few goods. And
Right.
we came into this rather abruptly, really because of COVID. I mean, with
Yeah.
a lot of the goods not being able to come over.
Yeah. The global supply chain is what is the cost of inflation.
A big reason of it. So, and what inflation does, it erodes the buying power of a fixed payment that's being received. And so it's, for an example, right? If you lend someone money, I'm a mortgage lender, Kevin, I lend you money at a certain interest rate,
Thank
and
you
I'm
very much.
expecting to get a payment,
Yeah.
right? So I'm getting that payment as a lender, and I'm taking that payment and I'm using that to buy my goods and my services. But then what happens is when the Fed raises the federal funds rate, those goods and services, the prices go up. And we've all experienced that, right? Gas, groceries, everything. So what I have to do then as a lender is my payment that I was charging you before on your last loan, that's not enough for me to buy the things that I was going to buy before. So I
Right.
have to raise my interest rate, right? Raise the rates in order to collect more, in order to afford the increase in those goods. So that's just kind of like a way to think about it, right? In just like a really simplistic way.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
so when the Fed hikes the federal funds rate, what they're really trying to do is slow down spending.
Yes.
We are a country that lives on credit, and so we're going to talk about kind of what the federal funds rate means, or when the Fed raises rates,
Yeah.
what that means. So their goal is to have you save money as opposed to spending money
Right.
ultimately. So I think you asked me, right, like what when the Fed raises rates, what does that do directly to mortgage rates?
Yeah. So like just because the Fed raises rates, oh, we're going up a full percentage this quarter, it doesn't necessarily mean that your mortgage rates are going up. So Tracy's going to tell us
Yeah. So when
what is
you
mortgage rates.
Yeah, I mean, when we talk about when you buy a home, generally you're in a 30-year fixed, right? You're married to the home. You're not married to the rate, and you're not married to the loan. So we kind of use that analogy.
Yeah.
And so you're in a 30-year fixed if you buy today. So as rates raise or lower, you're not being impacted, right? You're buying at today's rate. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean if rates go down, you couldn't possibly refinance to get something better. But
Yeah.
when they raise the federal funds rate, what they're raising are the rates on your credit cards, on your car loans, on your student loans, on home equity lines, because those are the things that they can control with spending,
Right.
right? With when you get a mortgage, it's a mortgage and you have that fixed payment. But with a credit card, if your rate keeps going up and up and up, right, and groceries go up and things go up, you're like, oh no, I can't afford to do all of those things I was doing. You're
Yeah.
going to slow down spending,
Yeah.
right? There's not going to be too few goods out there. It's the supply and demand. So,
Yeah.
but what's it? Go
It's
ahead.
really funny too, because a lot of people say, "Oh, I can't afford a home at 6.5% or 7%," but you're out spending credit cards every day. And you look at that statement, it's 24.99%. And that's, you know,
And it's revolving and compounding
it's
interest in,
revolving, compounding a lot quicker than your mortgage
yeah.
rate would.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that, as they say with real estate, there's three main things important in real estate: it's location, location, location. Everything else can change,
Yeah,
right? You can't change the location. So here in
absolutely.
the South Bay beach cities of Los Angeles, you are going to find that these homes, even in 2008 crash, they only decreased about 10 to 15% in value, where the rest of the country was going down 60, 70, 80% in the crash.
Yeah.
So this location of your real estate here in the South Bay is absolutely fantastic. It's Are the prices high? Yes, but there's people
Yeah.
buying with cash and with loans every single day, so it is doable, and it's a
Yeah.
great way to hold on to that wealth.
Yeah, and there's some unique loan products that we can kind of touch on at the end for people that are self-employed for less than 2 years or have trouble
Okay,
documenting income, where you can buy an expensive home, in your market and still
yeah,
qualify for that. So
awesome.
yeah, so let's go into we'll talk about housing. So people are afraid is I don't want to buy now because the market's going to crash,
Right,
right? I'm sure you hear that
all
often.
the time.
So it's interesting if you look at history, right? And I love just numbers and facts. So since 1960, housing has stayed strong through recessions. The really only time that it hasn't is what you just mentioned in the crash in 2008.
Right.
Were you in this business in 2008?
I was an investor since 2005, so
Okay.
I had things going on that I was very, very concerned about.
Okay, so I ran a branch and had 30 loan officers when they came in and shut our doors, and I had to tell everyone, unfortunately, that they were out of a job. So, but the difference between now and 2008, it's really important to understand this, is it's the supply of the homes that they had versus the demand of the homes, right? And we don't have that problem today. You
Right.
know, right? Houses are still flying off the shelves
Yeah,
when
yeah,
they're
like,
listed. So,
yeah.
so
And
what
and
happened? Go ahead.
just to put it into relative terms, like a normal market, houses stay on the market for anywhere from 45 to 65, 70 days is a normal cycle. We're still in the 30-day section of offers being made.
Easily,
Yes,
yeah.
we were in the 6th day when, you know, about half a year ago. But now, it's starting to, we're normalizing. We're not crashing. We're actually just normalizing. We're still not even out of a seller's market yet.
Exactly. And there
Yeah.
were reasons why 2008 happened. So what in 2006, right? That's really what set the stage for 2008. There was a huge drop in what's called household formations. And what that means is you have a family living together, and generally like a child would leave and get their own place, right? Or there'd be a divorce, or there would be a situation within the household that would cause people to spread out and to purchase new homes.
Yeah.
Um, but in 2006, not only was there a drop in those formations, it was also the number of homes that were built were the most ever built since 2002. So they had a
Mm,
drop of household formations, an increase in supply of homes, and that was in 2006. So that rolled into 2007, 2008. You
mhm.
blend that with the mortgage programs that were out there, unfortunately, and that's really what helped lead to that housing crash,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
You fast forward today, our new housing supply is 1.2 million homes approximately, is what our housing supply is, right? In this country, our household formations, we need 1.7 to kind of
Mm,
match up with that. So just based on the numbers, our supply is short of what our demand should be. And that's why it's still a good time to buy, because in this scenario, values keep appreciating and going up, which they're
yeah.
projecting still, in our market's about 5% per year
Yeah,
in forecasted projection. So
that's an amazing return if you think about it, because where you can't get 5% in most bonds or anything like that. So
yeah, absolutely. And we're gonna show that. So this is just I thought it was interesting. I'll kind of like minimize us over here, but so there's you hear the news, and if you listen to the news, you're going to be in fear, right? That's how news sells. We know that with everything.
if it bleeds, it leads.
God, yeah. So it was so interesting to me where, we were provided this information by Barry Habib, who actually he owns this company called MBS Highway. And I've seen him speak twice in the last like 2 months, and he just has his pulse on the market. And he collected this data of what a reporter said in each year, right? 15, 16, 17, 18, all the way to 2021. And it was compared to what the comments were versus what the appreciation was at the time that they made those comments, right?
Right.
So we don't have to go through all of them, but just an example, 2016, we're in a new housing bubble, but homes appreciated 5.4%,
Right.
right?
Yeah,
So
it's only 5.5%. We're in a bubble.
yeah, so if you listen to someone as a buyer in 2015, you bought a house for 300,000, right? It was at 315.
Yeah.
In 2019, that same house was worth 443,000. So you could just see, they just keep saying it. The housing boom's over, pandemic, it's at an all-time low. Again, 2021, 18% appreciation.
So for
So
everyone in the beach cities market, triple those numbers. So we 900,000, now we're at 1.5 million, because that's probably pretty close.
seriously, right? And when you just think about that, you're like, gosh, and it's because they build fear. And
Yeah.
you have to really just look at what the numbers are and what the history is. And what I try to tell people is, owning a home is putting money back into your own pocket. So kind of just to use the analogy where, if you have money and you have it in your right pocket and you're renting, right? You're taking your money out of your pocket and you're handing it to someone.
Yeah.
Right? You're handing it to your landlord, you're handing it to someone and paying their mortgage for them. When you own your own home, you're taking your money out of your right pocket and you're just putting it into your left pocket. So
Well, I think more apropos is you're taking 10 ones out of your pocket, you're giving $1 to the interest, and you're putting $9 in your pocket.
well, that's what it is. Yeah, because you're paying principal, which is
Yeah.
amortization. So
Yeah.
what you're paying in your mortgage, some of it is going to the banks at interest, but that principal is dropping your balance down, which at some point you'll realize if you go to sell or refinance and gain that equity.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
I just I thought that was interesting too.
Yeah.
This is sort of like a quick, should I buy or rent, right? So this is I just used a sales price of 750,000, a historical appreciation of 5.9%. And it really just shows you like, if you rented for 3,600 bucks, let's say 3,658 a month, but you purchased that home, of course you're going to have a higher payment, right? But at the end of the day, it shows you, based on annual rent increase, which on average it's 8%, which is another crazy statistic. And then again, interest rates. So when I did this slide, it was about a week ago, and now this morning we're probably about 1% higher than this. So
Yeah.
that's how
Well,
quickly things change.
also to mention, one of the tricks I did when I bought my first home is I knew that then I was a W-2 employee, and I knew that with my, obviously consult your tax professional, but I could change my W-2 tax withholdings and I could receive a bigger paycheck, and I could afford at least $1,000 a month more than I was paying in rent, because that money was going to be, that's one of the greatest things about America is, or at least some states anyways, is the interest on your loan is tax deductible and lowers your tax basis. So that's a key thing. That this is why playing with numbers and putting pencil to paper and speaking with Tracy's team or asking me a question is vital, because there's so many things that you don't think about in terms of how much you can afford.
And you could see in these numbers, like what you said, right? So you're going to have appreciation gain, which is the appreciation of the home values.
Yeah.
Amortization gain, which is you putting money back into your own pocket through your making your mortgage payment, and
Yeah.
tax benefit. So exactly what you said. The
Yeah.
other really interesting thing is that when people are wage earners, W-2s and pay stubs, you generally, per the statistics of ADP, get a raise, right? You get a small increase in income that when you have a fixed mortgage payment, but you're increasing your income over time, it's also offsetting that difference
Yeah.
of buying. So
And again, for Manhattan Beach, triple or quadruple the 376.
we'll do real numbers for the higher price point, but
Manhattan Beach, Redondo Beach, Torrance. We can all just quadruple those numbers.
okay. So the other thing too, you said you were an investor for a long time.
Long
So
time.
1 out of every 6 or 7 transactions still is an investment property.
That's great.
And again, I'm using a purchase price of 650. You know,
Yeah.
generally as an investor, we have
Yeah,
programs where you could put
yeah.
20% down, but the rates are higher than if you'd put 25% down.
Sure.
Probably bump this about 1%. And I just did an expectation to own the home, let's say for 9 years, but we could figure
Perfect.
3 years, 4 years, 5 years based on the numbers.
Yeah.
We're going to look at our closing costs, estimated monthly repair cost, annual property tax increase, cost to sell. So we're really kind of taking in all of the expenses. And then
Yeah.
the average appreciation in the local market was 6.89%.
That's amazing.
So we're going to look at, okay, hey, what's the rental income you're going to get? What are
Yep.
the expenses? And then what your cash flow is. Now, you're going to see cash flow, you know, in year 9, we have a negative cash flow number. But as you look at it here, it increases. So your cash on cash return, the longer you have the property, will start increasing.
Yeah.
Okay. So with your increase in rent, your rental income is going to increase, right? You have your principal and interest, your taxes.
Yeah.
So really, what we want to show, and I'll minimize us here, is what you're going to be getting. So you're going to be getting your rental income.
Yeah.
You're going to be getting your appreciation. You're going to back out your expenses. Here's your profit. This was your initial investment. Look at that return on investment.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah. It's good stuff.
Yeah. So if you said to someone walking in the street, you can get a 13.7 or 218% return on the investment if you go talk to that guy at the investment firm, at the financial planner, right? Kevin
Yep.
Scott's a financial planner. You don't think people would be running to you to have a 218% return?
Yep.
So again, it's all in the numbers and really showing to people you know, what that could look like for their particular scenario.
Don't wait to buy real estate. Buy real estate and wait. That's what that's showing right there.
That is good. Yeah. And with Kevin, you know, what we try to do when we partner together is really provide people, you know, no cost, no obligation,
Yep.
like a wealth consultation where
Yeah.
you could get affordability calculator, ARM versus fixed, investment property analysis. And Kevin, you know, you being an investor, you're probably really familiar, right, with the DSCR, that loan program that we have and how that can work. Are you familiar with all that stuff?
Yeah, no, it's fantastic stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So and that's pretty much what I wanted to go through. But what I also want to share with you and kind of have you drill me a little bit, just maybe on, you know, some unique loan programs or just, you know, things that maybe you're hearing out in the market or had questions on that I could answer for you while we're together.
Well, sure. I mean, one of the things that come up is, I mean, with the rates going up so quickly, we've as agents and lenders, we've had to get really creative on bringing the buyer some sort of mental stability. And one of the ways we can do that is now that houses are on the market for a little 30 days, and you know they went from 20 offers, they're down to like 2 or 3. Now we can start to ask for things like, hey, would you have a seller's credit where the sale of the house is the same, but you're going to give us a seller's credit of X amount of dollars, and we're going to
Yeah.
apply that down to buy down the interest rate. Can you
Yeah.
explain something like that a little bit more?
Absolutely. So it's really a good strategy. So because houses are sitting a little bit longer, instead of the seller reducing the price of the home, if they kept it the same but gave an incentive to the buyer could use it in 2 different ways. So If you buy down your rate, what that means is that you're paying discount points or points to directly discount the interest rate. You can pay them yourself, or you can negotiate a seller credit. And that basically buys down the rate for the life of the loan. Right. So I could say to you, hey, instead of the rate being 7%, the rate is 6.5%.
Yeah.
Generally, 1 point, which is 1% of the loan amount, equates to about 0.25% lower in rate. So that's just to kind of give you an idea of how that works.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yep.
And I did I have a mortgage calculator on my phone. I'm in it all the time
Yeah.
because I love this creativity. So just say for general, like if you have a $270,000 house, different part of the country, obviously,
Yeah.
but a 5% loan rate and a 6% loan rate with both 20% down, you're saving $128 a month in cost of the loan, but you're also saving almost $50,000 over the life of the loan. So
by buying down the rate.
Yeah, it really is a great tactic and strategy to help our buyers ask and negotiate for any kind of rate buy down, because let's say I want to pay $1 million for the house. Instead of going, well, I'll pay you $950, say pay the $1 million and say, hey, give me $50,000.
Yeah.
And you'll save way more than that $50,000 in monthly mortgage costs and the life of the loan.
Yeah. And what we really need to be careful of too, and this is why it's so important to talk to a lender, is that, in your market, in high-end or high-priced homes, you may tend to jump into maybe that jumbo financing, right?
Right. That's another thing I wanted to talk about was the new
Yeah.
jumbo basis.
Yeah. So like with that, depending on the different investors, the seller contribution percentages could be different. We have what's called a 2-1 buy down program, but that's not available on jumbo financing, but it's available on non-jumbo. That's really cool because you could use the credit from the seller, and it buys your interest rate down 2 full percentage points for the first year of the loan.
Holy cow.
And 1% the second year. So even if rates today are 6.5, your first year you're at 4.5. Your second year you're at 5.5. And then the goal would be to refinance out of that loan whenever you can. Right. But the seller is paying that difference in payment. So again, there's so many unique ways that you can take advantage of this market still.
Yeah. Now I just heard that they recently just upped the basis for the jumbo program. Where is it at now?
Well, so you're in Orange County, right?
No, I'm in LA County.
Okay, Los Angeles County. Okay.
Manhattan Beach, Hermosa Beach, Redondo Beach, Torrance.
Okay, so what they did is generally Fannie Mae announces their loan limits in November, and they come into effect usually in the beginning of the year in January. So in 2022, the loan limit for Los Angeles County is $970,800. Okay, so basically just to do some quick math, if I take that loan amount and I take it by 0.95, that means someone could buy a house for about $1,020,000 in your market with only 5% down.
Amazing.
That keeps them out of that jumbo market. So they could get the 2-1 buy down. If they put 5% down, you could get a maximum of a 3% seller contribution. If you put 10% down, you could get a 6% contribution, right? Which could lead to really big money.
And this is why it's important to call us and talk to us, because I didn't know that. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So many doors for people.
So many doors. So what really came into effect now is they announced that the conforming loan limit, which it doesn't affect our counties, right? Because our loan limits are higher than this already. But those went up to 725, but we're still Los Angeles County and my San Diego County, we're still higher than that. So
okay, cool.
Yeah. And then the other cool thing is, let's say we wanted to take advantage of a non-jumbo program. We could even do a first and a second and piggyback them. So we can take a first mortgage to that limit and then do an equity line of credit up to $200,000-300,000. So you're avoiding mortgage insurance. You're still non-jumbo. So there's a lot of ways that you could finagle it to get people into the best price loans.
Fantastic. I mean, when you think it's all gloom and doom out, just talk to Tracy and she'll get you excited about the future again.
You have to stay positive. I mean, people are still buying houses, and we have a program too that I was like, no way. because people always ask me, do you have anything that's stated? Right. And we don't want to go back to the days of 2008 with stated loans, but
Right,
then it was like a 500 credit score and no assets, right? And
right.
they stated their income. But someone could purchase a home even in your market too, 20% down if they have a 700 or higher FICO score, and there's no income documentation, no debt to income ratio. So if you're self-employed for 2 months, yeah,
Okay.
and you had money coming in because you were in a different job or you got an inheritance or you have a
Yeah,
difficulty documenting your income, you could still buy a home. You have to have 12 months of reserves. So that protects the investor knowing that if anything were to happen, you could still make your payments.
sure.
But I was like, holy cow. So you don't even write a job on the application.
Wow.
So to know that that's there and people could take cash out with that as well, to put toward an investment property, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean that, and especially with this economic environment and climate, that so many people are ditching jobs and starting businesses, and oh, I'm a TikTok millionaire, or I'm an Instagram influencer and I make $4 million a month.
Yeah.
You
Or
know,
they're cashing out investments in
yeah,
crypto and and it's hard to document that in a traditional transaction. So
yeah,
it's a higher rate, higher than market. It's called a non-QM or non-qualified
yeah,
mortgage, but it gets someone to the house. There's no prepayment penalties if you buy owner occupied. And
yeah,
then you just get yourself situated until you can refinance into a traditional loan. But so I think that's really good, especially with COVID and business owners, because they took a dive in 2021 in their income,
yeah,
and generally you have to ask for 2 years of taxes and average that out.
yeah,
So if you can't do that, you just go with this where you don't list
yeah,
any income and you could still buy a house or take cash
yeah.
out.
So all you YouTubers who've made a good living over the last couple of years, and you want to come to Manhattan Beach and Hermosa Beach or Redondo Beach, give me a call and we can get you a loan,
Let's
because
do
it's
it.
it's beach living, man. Hang loose. You get,
That's
so yeah,
so
that's
great.
that's fantastic.
What's
That's
the
fantastic.
what's the average market in your market? Do you know, Kevin? Like what if someone
Yeah, it's about $3,600 for a 1 bedroom, 1 bath.
wow, okay.
Yeah.
And what's your median sales price there?
About 1.2 million.
Okay.
So Manhattan Beach is up in the, it's different because each beach city has its own little sort of um variance on home costs.
Okay.
Manhattan Beach, the average is about 2.5, 2.7 million.
Okay.
Hermosa is about 1.7, 1.8,
Okay.
and Redondo Beach is anywhere is about the 1.2 to 1.6 sort of
Got it. So you
median.
really could place people depending on their needs and location, like you said,
Yeah,
in those
yeah. I mean,
places.
all of them are, they're all beach cities.
Yeah.
It's just Manhattan and Hermosa are just super, super beachfront. And
Yeah.
Redondo has a section that goes down to the beach, but you really can't get a home on the beach in Redondo very
Yeah.
much. It's all apartments and stuff. But
That's
yeah,
awesome.
there's lots of avenues and stuff for people to
Lots of opportunity. And that's really in those
exactly.
higher price points. I mean, you're dealing with high-end assets, high-end
Yeah.
income. There's an ability to repay loan where you can actually borrow up to the amount of assets that you could document. So if you show $1 million in the bank, you could get $1 million loan. It's like
Amazing.
there's
Yeah.
so much out there.
Well, if they want strand property, they need like 16 to 23 million. But
Okay.
that's okay.
Yeah, it's no big deal. Hey, if
Yeah.
you're YouTube famous, then you got that anyway, so it's
Right, you'll be okay.
fine.
Yeah.
Well, it's so great talking to you. I'm so glad we did
Absolutely. I had
this,
so
and
much fun.
it's good. So tell just how can people get in touch with you? Like, what's the best way?
Oh, the best way is to call me at 310 and I'll be
And I
happy
know
to pick
you're
up the
all over
phone.
Facebook,
I'm
and
all
is
over
is
Facebook.
it Kevin Scott on
Kevin Scott
Facebook or
Real
what?
Estate. If you just look that up, Kevin Scott Real Estate LA, Kevin Scott Real Estate on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I'm not on Twitter so much, but it just seems like crazy people on there. But yeah, I'm all over the Facebook and the Instagram. So
That's awesome.
yeah,
And for
and
me,
we're
yeah,
in community too.
I just tell people just go to Google and Google like the Schmidt team or Tracy Schmidt mortgage or and that's just a really good way to find like all social media and stuff like that. And if you're
We're
watching this
bragging about
on
our SEO
YouTube,
score, people.
subscribe on YouTube, please. We love
Yes,
it.
both of us.
Ask questions and
Yeah.
just let us know how we can be of service to you.
Yes, absolutely.
Thanks, Kevin.
And
We'll have a great weekend.
you too. Talk to you
Okay,
later.
talk to you soon. Bye.